Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Paula's Marathon Run Club with me, Paula Radcliffe.
And me, Christopher Thompson.
And today we have the honour of being joined by marathon experts in running them, but mostly in organising them and staging marathon events, and also not too shabby, silver medal in the World Cross Country, 4th in the Olympic Games, European Commonwealth medalist.
Yeah, it's also long ago. It's black and white film now, but it did take place.
Tim Hutchings.
Yeah, lovely to see everybody. Lovely to see you. I've only done 2 marathons, New York twice, and both pretty so-so. So I'm not going to say I'm tons of marathon experience firsthand, but I've commentated on about 1,000, so I've got a rough idea of the training involved.
Yeah. And on that, probably the hardest thing actually is staying motivated. Starting out in the marathon is away in April, so there isn't yet that panic of I need to really, really be getting something done. People still think, I have a bit of time, when actually getting yourself motivated now and laying down that groundwork is probably a really good place to be at.
Yeah, I always used to think that if you can get out for a run when you don't want to run too, you're getting double the benefit, because my old coach years and years ago used to say your mind is like a muscle. You've got to keep it exercised and make it and work it. And actually getting out for a run on Christmas Day or in the rain or in the snow and when it's cold and horrible out is more beneficial psychologically. It's reinforcing, gives you strength, than anybody can go out for a jog on a lovely sunny day across the fields. I mean, wow, that's a real pleasure.
Yeah.
It's getting out on those cold, windy, wet nights.
Yeah. Did you run Christmas Day?
Actually, we did.
Yeah,
we did. Yeah.
Did you run Christmas Day, Chris?
So, next question. I think I did once. My bless him, John Nuttall, my old coach, used to really get at me, and he's bribed me with the more you run on Christmas Day, the bigger the Christmas dinner. I only did it once, and then I just ate the biggest Christmas dinner I could and ignored the run bit. This is so.
You've definitely embraced retirement, haven't you? That's good to see.
This is during my career. Well,
oh dear,
that's why my jaw dropped.
So I'm going to ask you this, Tim, in terms of, because again, a lot of this episode is on motivation and day-to-day motivation, and kind of you have your main aim of a big race or something, but the day-to-day motivation, what kept you coming, why you got in the sport and got you going? Because so this was the thing that, again, when you say about not running Christmas Day, a lot of my enjoyment through running came through the friendships and the community of people. And so Christmas Day represented no one in my family would want to go for a run, so I'd have to run on my own. And that's part of the reason why I wouldn't, is because I didn't necessarily just enjoy going out for a fresh air run. But that's the reason I got into it. So what got you into the sport? What gave you the bug? And then what day to day kept you wanting to do it?
Being successful is quite addictive, and getting not the adoration, but the applause or the plaudits for being successful. And I'd much prefer to have been a great rugby player. I was a county rugby player, but wasn't big enough. By the time I was 16, 17, I was getting the you-know-what kicked out of me. So, and running, actually, non-contact sport in theory. So I was successful from 16 onwards. And I liked that. Academically, I'm Mr. Average, so that was never going to be something where I got a lot of pats on the back. I think, I'm a bit like you, Chris. I'm not a dyed-in-the-wool runner. I don't love running, because some people get a real high out of running. Ron Hill, 30 years without missing a day and all that sort of stuff. You're kidding. I'm much for a gin and tonic. I'm allowed to mention
combine the two.
Yeah, but actually now it's the battle of the bulge. What motivates me now to run 3 or 4 times a week and get out for half an hour, 40 minutes is that I do like my food and my drink, and actually I'd chub up if I didn't get out running a bit. I think it was just that you're right. The camaraderie is really important. It's not a team sport, but you can actually be part of a training group, which is a bit like a team, and just enjoying the success and the rewards, and you're directly responsible for what you get back out of it. Unlike in rugby, say, where somebody misses a tackle and your team's screwed, and it's like, oh, that's great. I've been played quite a good game, but he's missed 2 tackles and we've lost. So I like the fact that it's very directly your responsibility.
And on the camaraderie side, did you, in the marathons that you ran in New York, did you feel that it's slightly different to elite racing, that mass marathon feel? Because that's what I think people who are building up for their first marathon, it's really going to hit them, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah. I mean, I was in reasonable nick when I ran my first one. I think I was 34, 35. I'd been retired for 3 or 4 years. I was running for a TV station, carrying a phone, and I think Steve Cram was in the studio in Paris, and they rang me every 20 minutes in New York and said, how's your race going? And I'd waffle on for a minute with something boring, and then I'd say, right, see you in 20 minutes, and then I'd jog on. I was in reasonable nick. I think I ran I was on 2 hour. I got to 20 miles in 2 hours, and then the legs went, and I ran 2:56. I mean, it was a disaster. The last 10K was horrific, but I loved it. And actually, big city marathons, that energy, the not outpouring of love from the crowds, but just that energy it's almost palpable. It's incredible.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like when you said about that last 10 mile, last 10K, where you went through that emotional trauma of just getting through. Like, because I think we've all been there. I think you have, Paul. I don't know. You're so quick. Like, but I've had major blow ups in marathons, and you go through this emotional experience where at the time you just feel, what's the point? Demoralized because you're an elite athlete trying to run quick, or you're proud of your running, your capability in running. But you come out the other end of, you know what? I'm proud I got through that. Like a lot of athletes do, they almost go through this emotional roller coaster that it humanizes all of us. It's like a leveler. I remember at college years and years ago, they're talking about you can have one moment in a golf game where you hit a shot like a pro, or you kick a ball like a pro for that one moment. And running's almost goes the opposite way, where elites can just be completely humanized like we all do. And we all feel like it's like almost like an ice bath for your brain, where you just kind of reset a little bit and go, yeah, I'm proud of myself there for just getting through.
Yeah, but what's great about the marathon is that it is every man's Everest. It's very accessible, and actually, it doesn't matter how fast you do it, as long as you get to the peak of Everest, which is finishing the race. So whether you break world records or make Olympic teams like you, Chris. I mean, you two are great marathon runners. I never ran a proper marathon, not an elite marathon, but I think the fact just finishing it puts you on a little pedestal in your own mind. You've done a marathon. I remember one of the two companies did a great T-shirt years ago, and it said marriage. There were 3 boxes, and the bottom 2 boxes had ticks, and it said marriage, kids, and the top one was left empty, and it was marathon. And I think it's a nice box to tick in life, that little Everest achievement.
I've debated whether to tell this story, but I'm gonna.
Is it clean? Okay,
no, it's not. It's not on you. Where it links, because I've gone back and forth, and I'm sure producer James will be happy that that he wants to know, but he doesn't know. So you actually were part of something that was one of the most embarrassing and worst days of my running career, and you put it in perspective for me.
Who are you talking to, Paula or me?
No, you, Tim.
Right, yeah, go on.
Okay, so don't be nervous. So you'll know what I'm talking about when I start. So I had it was at the Great South Run. A lot of people that know me know this, but at the Great South Run, I had a bit of an accident downstairs.
He was told to consume a certain amount of beetroot to offset.
Yeah, we'll go into that.
You sort of dropped off the kids.
Yeah. So it was bad, and I finished. I finished, and at the finish line there was it was, as you know, at the end of like a big race, a road race. There's a lot of people eyes on. I couldn't hide it. It was red. It was all over me, and there was a portaloo at the side. I sat in there with my head in my hands, going, "This is the most embarrassing thing of my life," and I had no way of cleaning myself up, and to get to the elite tent was through the crowds. And I sat there just get there, get over there, and just sort yourself out. And as I left, usually at crowds, you get the odd, maybe someone wants a signature and you have to kind of weave your way through. But everyone just parted like the Red Sea, excuse the pun, just moved out of my way. And as I got to the other end, through the crowds of like 10 people deep, you were coming towards me. And you were like, Tomo. I was like, yeah. He goes, have you yourself? I was like, yeah, I have. Head down. And he said, did you finish? I said, yeah. He goes, good lad. Now go and get in the sea.
Yeah, there's a few stories like that. I do remember it. Now you've reminded me. I remember it, Tom. I mean, at least it was only beetroot juice. Could have been a lot worse. You hadn't had a curry the night before or anything.
But it's that feeling of like just complete like misery. But you flip something that was so embarrassing and so like demoralizing for me into, yeah, but you finished. You got through it. It's embarrassing and it's well, is it character? I don't know.
Finish the race.
Yeah.
For anyone on the start line of London, they're in the same race as the elites. So they can say they're racing your Paula Radcliffes, your Canonices, whoever the athlete is, they're in the same race. But for you as a race director, what you were trying to create to bring the two together?
Well, in the early years of the Brighton Marathon, and it's been going now for 14 years or something, we wanted a bit of everything. We wanted fast times, we wanted big fields, we wanted great racing. And we did fly in Ethiopians and Kenyans in the early years with our limited budget, and we got a winning time under 2:10 on the men's side, and I think the women's course record got down to 2:27, and that was the currency that mattered amongst major races, and we were trying to establish ourselves as a major race. So we sort of ticked that box, but then we were spending a lot of money on it. We realised that nobody cared. The other 10,000 behind the elite didn't care about whether it was one in 2:09 or 2:19, and so we stopped shipping in the top Africans. We stopped bringing in elite athletes, so we just had elite British fields as best we could. And if the race was won in 2:18, 2:22, nobody cared as long as there was racing up at the front. So you have to accept, Brighton Marathon now belongs to the London Marathon, of course, but we established a race that tried to be a major European race, but actually without a title sponsor, without the financing, we were kind of hamstrung a bit. So we did what we could with it at the time, and it was very satisfying. But yeah, I think the most important thing was to put on a great race for the masses that was safe for them to get round and have some decent racing up at the front amongst what elite there were. But you have to not be pretentious enough to think, we can get a 2:6 or a 2:5 here in Brighton. And it is a fast course, but we just didn't have the resources at the time.
So thank you, Tim, very much for sharing this. That's one more thing we've shared. So we started racing pretty much almost at the same time. And then certainly I feel like I've really looked up and learned a lot from you on the commentating side. And thank you for making that as easy as it has been. And thanks for joining us and sharing your wisdom.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me on. Good luck to everybody prepping for London or any other spring marathon. Chris, lovely to catch up with you. We'll have to grab a glass of the old amber nectar one of these days. And Paula,
see you soon. Thank you. So thank you very much, Tim. I could have sat and listened all day and asked more questions and tried to pick up more tips to put forward. So thank you very much. And we look forward to the next expert guest joining us next week. But one of our first listener interactions. Hello, Paula and Chris. At last you made a podcast. So excited to hear what you have to say over the coming weeks. I am running my second marathon this year, the Brighton Marathon, on 6th of April. Competed in the event last year, but got to halfway and went backwards. I don't think he meant literally backwards. He finished in 4:20, and that's from Richard Harewood from Horsham Joggers Running Club. So, Richard, you can do it this year. I think I would advise just going off a little bit slower than you did for the first half last year, pacing yourself and aiming to come back stronger. Although, in your defense, there was an extremely strong headwind for the last part of that marathon last year. So the fact that you got through it, hats off to you. Well done, and go and smash it this year. Yeah,
fantastic. And hopefully I'll be there for Brighton this year to cheer you on and give you a high five as you run quicker than 4, sub 4 maybe? I don't know. We'll see. I'll keep an eye out.
Quicker than 4:20, the first one, yeah.
Another message here. Dear Paula and Chris, congratulations getting on air with this incredible project. I'm very happy to learn that you're on my corner to motivate, inspire me to get going on this journey of preparing for my marathon in Boston. It has been tough since running last year in London. It went so badly. I've not recovered from my mental energy failure. A year on, it's haunting me. Your introduction gave me the will to go out and run this in the grim weather in Essex. Thanks again, and best wishes for an awesome 2025, Teresa. I think this fits really nicely with our episode, actually, about just rolling with the punches a bit, or the running punches, and just keep coming back for more. Because again, your experience that you had a year ago, I'm sure will help fuel and enable you to get through. And I never like to see someone say failure. It's not failure. Don't feel like it's a failure. It's just I know it's in conjunction with energy failure, but the flipping that mindset into it's a learning and a process towards what you want is a good way of doing it.
Definitely a learning experience, and that falling down, if you like, and that coming apart last time will have laid down a strength that will help you the next time to get through it. So good luck in Boston. Maybe I'll see you out there. Come along and say hi if you do see me there. And I'm sure that you will smash it through this difficult weather now to go out. And let's hope it's not really difficult weather in Boston, because that has happened in the past, but let's hope not for this year. And the next interaction is, hi, Paula and Chris. I loved listening to your first podcast on my drive home. Thank you. You asked for tips, though I wouldn't call these tips, as I'm more of a completer than a competer. I started competing and running 11 years ago at 42 and will be running my 4th marathon, London, this April, aiming for between 4 and 5 hours. Here are some thoughts that help me while running. You are doing this versus you can do this. Years ago, a friend kept saying to me, you can do this, during a tough hill run, and it annoyed me. I realized it felt like I wasn't there yet. Now my mantra is, you are doing this. It reminds me I'm achieving something now, not later on. If you get to the start line, you will finish. Before my first London Marathon, nerves hit me hard, and a friend told me that over 99% of people who start finish. Just getting to the start line made all the difference, and it's advice I still hold on to. The crowd support is incredible. Nothing compares to the energy from the crowd. It's uplifting, and the nerves melt away once you're out there. Their cheers truly carry you along. Thanks for the inspiration, and good luck to everyone preparing for the big day. That's anonymous, but that is some amazing tips shared right there, and absolutely totally echo that. You've done all the hard work when you get to the start line. You've done it. You've just got to hold it together and enjoy it. And that's why I say it's the party at the end of it. And that tip for staying in the moment is perfect. We talk about different techniques you've got to stay in the moment. You're doing it. You're doing it right now. So just using those words helps you to stay in that moment.
The number of times in my career that I've just shrugged my shoulders and gone, you're doing this, so just get on with it. And it's brilliant. I love it. I got inspired just by reading it. Next one is from Ian. Great first episode. No marathon until Dublin in October. Can't wait to follow along over the next few months. My first was New York Marathon in 2008. A special one for you also, Paula. Following that blue line that day, knowing I was running in your footsteps was simply amazing. Was it the race where Isla met you at the finish? I feel old hearing now she's running her first marathon. Thanks and good luck, Ian.
Well, imagine how old I feel as her mum then.
Is that the one? Is that the one though? 2008.
It was actually both of them. So 2007, she was a baby. Well, she was a baby. She was 9-10 months old when I finished and won in 2007, and a huge motivating factor in carrying me through the training for that race and getting back into enjoying marathon racing, which is what I love doing, but with an extra purpose, an extra little person to run for and to get a good result for. But in 2008, as Ian said, she was then a toddler, like running around and people trying to keep her entertained. And I think she kept people entertained because she we had this like baby blender thing.
That sounds cruel.
No, she was on solid foods by then, and she was in the finish area at the end of the marathon, and they basically just took food off the buffet and just threw it in and blended it all up and just fed it to this baby who was finding it a bit boring that mum was gone for 2 and a bit hours. And
they're great at New York, aren't they? They're good at making it a family thing and looking after the elite family. They're real. The New York family is fantastic,
and it was a real battle that year. Probably not as much of a battle as it had been the previous year in terms of right down to Columbus Circle, but it had been a hard run, and it was nice to have that friendly face at the end. And when I think back, that doesn't seem for me like that long ago. And now, as Ian said, she's 18, and she's 18 actually on Friday, on the 17th, and so we're sharing that one. And she is building up for her first marathon. So hopefully by Friday she might have done some training on that journey.
Let's hope so. I actually remember watching some of your New York iconic finishes actually, because through that period I spent a lot of time injured, so I was watching rather than running. And that iconic finish of New York and your battles you had, was it Getty-Wami one year?
Mm-hmm. I was trying to remember whether that was 2007 or 8.
I can't remember, but it was epic. I remember being in the room in Loughborough with a few athletes, and we were just going mental at the screen, just going, "Come on, Paula!" And you did it, and but again, in that moment, you're worrying about that next step up the hill.
And I think that was 2007, and I'd been so locked in battle with Getty-Wami all the way through the race, and was focusing on I'm strong on hills. I know I'm strong on hills. I can finish, and I've lost count how many times in my career I've been outkicked by Getty-Wami. But in the marathon, it was different, because in the marathon, it's about raising the pace and being a little bit stronger. It's not about a a sprint finish per se. So I started to think, okay, I've got this. But one of the things that my dad had always said to me from a little kid, age 9, if you're in front, don't look behind, never look behind. So 2 of those things are going over in my mind as I'm kicking hard up the hill from Columbus Circle up to the finish in New York. And I was just scared to look behind, imagining she was right behind me, still driving really hard to the line. So I crossed the finish line, was greeted by the race director, looked behind and went, well, where did she go? And this was not long after somebody had actually run on in London and tried to tackle the finishers and tried to hijack the moment of the finishing moment. So Dave Bedford, the race director there, did actually run on and rugby tackle them off the course. So that this poor race director, going through her mind, is like, oh my God, someone's come onto the course and pulled someone off. And then she came jogging around the corner. And what had actually happened was that I'm not going to be able to compete and I'm really clear in second. So I'm just going to take my foot off the gas and just run in.
She'd been Paula'd.
Well, I don't know. But I had no idea that she was that far behind because I was still focused on that. So that was 2007. This was 2008, and good luck in Dublin, Ian.
Yeah, fantastic. Really good. Nice to get those memories back out. Even keep them fresh in your mind. Keep them fresh.
I do want to take this moment to say a huge thank you to Children with Cancer UK. We're very proud to partner with you and bring you this special series. And it is important, I think, to take the time each episode just to highlight how the funds do make a real difference. And today it is Devon who opens up to us about her son Dax's journey with childhood cancer and highlights just how important that support from Children with Cancer UK is and how her family was able to get through this. So let's hear her story.
I'm Devon, and I didn't quite expect to be in the world of childhood cancer. It was back in 2020, my son Dax was diagnosed with cancer, quite a rare cancer. He was 2 years old at the time, and it was quite a whirlwind, also because it was during COVID and lockdown as well. It was a few months spent in hospital for us, and sadly, within 3 months, it all became too much and they couldn't do anything for him, and he passed away in the August. Charities like Children with Cancer UK are so important, and I don't think we could have got through it without them. To know that so many people are running the marathon and bringing so much vital funds and vital awareness for the charity. To everyone running the marathon, good luck, and I'll be cheering you on.